Something else that I thought was worth talking about. So yesterday we switched swim schools for my daughter, and she has terrible anxiety about swimming. But it's really not the swimming that she has anxiety about. It's about being away from mom and dad. And what's really interesting about this is that that's exactly how I was when I was a kid. And when I was getting ready to have kids of my own, I was hoping to God that none of my kids would have the separation anxiety and all of the anxieties that I had growing up. And I had always thought that I had those anxieties because of something that happened in early childhood. And I'm sure that that is a part of it, but I have no recollection of what it could possibly be. And I'm wondering if my daughter is experiencing the exact same thing, and how much of this is hereditary, how much of it is something that you just have a predisposition towards based on your genetics and based on epigenetics, so what your parents went through and other things like that. So it's really interesting to me, as much as it sucks for her, because I certainly don't want her to have separation anxiety. It still is an interesting concept because it's sort of have changed how I think about this. I used to think this is something that was an experience I had as a child, but I'm starting to realize that maybe it's just a predisposition that I had as a sensitivity to emotions and other things like that. Because as far as I understand, neither one of my other brothers have separation anxiety or had separation anxiety. And for me, it was just really severe. So that's been an interesting dynamic to work with. The other thing I've kind of mentioned is, well, actually, I don't think I've mentioned this, is I've been using ChatGPT. So I bought the premium version of it, and I use it almost every single day. So it makes a lot of sense for me, but I've also been using it as a way to aggregate research around certain topics for raising kids. And the first one that I really went deep with was the separation anxiety and how my daughter's age, she's 3 in a couple of months, so she's between 3 and 4. Very common to have separation anxiety, very common to have this experience be much more intense than any other age. And I think it mentioned that's because their age of consciousness is starting to change, starting to be more aware of the things around them, starting to be more aware of the world and how it works and routines and all those sorts of things, and when mommy and daddy leave. And it's been really powerful because instead of having to do all the research and go to all the different articles myself and vet them, I have ChatGPT do it, and then I can go back to the references if I'm more interested in this particular article or want to do a little bit deeper research. So I think for millennial parents out there, people that are tech savvy, buying ChatGPT just to do research on parenting, I think is very powerful, instead of just buying a single book and like using that. Although I do that too. So, and I'll throw out at least one book recommendation that I have right now, which is called The Whole Brain Child. It's been really useful. I think I've already mentioned it maybe once or twice, and I listen to it on audiobook because I do a lot of commuting, and if I sit down and try to read, I get distracted and it never gets done. So I've just been listening to the audiobooks, and I've really liked it so far. I feel like the science and the real world experience mesh really well. It's a really good mix, and it doesn't feel unattainable in terms of the science. Like, it doesn't feel over explained. They use a lot of good stories, a lot of case studies, and things that feel down to earth. So anyway, that's my journal entry for today. Have a great one.